And defendant Magbanua chose to take the witness stand. We didn't hear very much about that. She doesn't know anything about the crime at all, so how can she be cross-examined? She don't know nothing. Even after the bump and her involvement, she was enlisted by Charlie to go investigate this person that confronted his mother. Even after that, she didn't know anything about the murder?
No, no one did in this whole family, in this whole little crime organization, whether it was the hitman, the hit woman, or the Adelsons, any of them, right? And that's what Georgia Cappleman has had to put up with for years at this point. Now, if you are familiar with the Adelson crime family and also Dan Markel, who was their victim, then you will also be familiar with the years and years worth of court proceedings that we have seen. And you will also probably be familiar with a prosecutor by the name of Georgia. Georgia is one of my favorite prosecutors at this point. Georgia is very animated. Georgia speaks to the jury, speaks to the defendants, wears her facial expressions very similar to how I like to think that I do and many of us do, where it's just like we're going to put our common sense cap on and we kind of talk with our face, right, as well as our words. So what I wanted to do today was to put a compilation together of several of the trials of just some moments of Georgia, right? So this is kind of like an ode to Georgia, but it's not meant to be like a creepy one, okay? It's meant to be like, let's watch her own all these defendants for a little bit and watch Georgia the defendants. So George Cappleman is the Chief Assistant State Attorney in Florida, known for her role as the lead prosecutor in the Dan Markel murder case. She graduated from FSU, Florida State University, and FSU's College of Law. So what I want to do is go ahead and start off at one of the earlier trials, and we're going to start off with Katherine Magbanua. We're going to start off with her first trial. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with this, let's do a quick little breakdown. So go ahead, get your puppy, get your little puppy pillow, get your true crime blanket, and let's get into today's video.
Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad, sipping from the cup at hey.
Now hold on everybody, let's do a quick sofa sidebar now. Keep in mind, ain't no cop, ain't no doctor, ain't no lawyer, ain't no therapist, ain't none of that fancy credentialed stuff. Now keep in mind also, I'm just giving my opinions on very public information, so do your own research, come to your own opinions, and drop them off in the comment section. And while you're down there, if you do like what you see here at the Sofa Squad, drop a little like, drop a little comment, drop a little share. It helps the channel out immensely. Now let's get edition. Hello Sofa Squad and welcome back to the sofa. That's a sofa. That's another sofa. This is a little dog. And this is Paul. My name is Paul if you're new to the channel. If you're not new to the channel, I might change my name soon. I don't know, but for right now, it's still Paul. So I already said what we're doing, so let's talk about just a very quick, like 60-second overview. Let's talk about the most important person in the case, and that is Dan Markel. Dan Markel is the victim of all of these people, right? So Dan Markel was married to Wendy Adelson. Wendy Adelson is still out. She has not been arrested or charged with anything, so please keep that in mind as we go through this video. However, we cannot say the same for her mother and brother and several of their like little acquaintances. So Charlie Adelson is been sent to prison for killing Dan Markel. I don't know what he would call her, but Katherine Magbanua, she's gone to prison, as well as two other, not co-defendants, but co-defendants, the hitmen who have gone to prison. And the most recent one, Donna Adelson, the mother, has been sent to the old slammer for orchestrating the whole thing. Okay, that when I say the Adelson crime family, that's what I'm talking about. Now, Katherine Magbanua had two trials. She somehow was able to, hang a jury or whatever you want to call it in the first trial. And so then there's the second one. So we're going to be looking at the first one. So the context of this is she is lying through her teeth. Okay, this is the, what are you talking about? Someone died? Who? I want to know. I want to send them flowers. She's doing all that. And this is the kind of stuff that Georgia has had to put up with. Right now, we see this all the time in these trials that we watch, where people will get up there. We will see them at Walmart using a credit card to buy a shovel and a pickaxe and garbage bags and lime, wave into the camera, and then they will get up there and say, what are you talking about, Walmart? I wasn't at the Walmart. Right? That's the level that Georgia had to put up with. And one thing I love about her is how, number one, professional she is, but how she just literally has this very kind of like Southern sass thing going on. So let's start looking at a few of those clips from Katherine's trial first.
But he wouldn't do anything for Charlie Adelson, right?
No.
Because he hated Charlie Adelson.
He hated him.
Did you have a lot of control over Mr. Garcia? I mean, were you the one that wore the pants in that relationship when y'all were together?
Yeah.
Mr. Garcia was living with this exotic dancer who was known by the name of Shrimp, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't take him to the rental car place.
No, ma'am.
Why do your phone records put you there that time frame? You don't recall what you did that day, but you know you didn't go to that rental car place, right?
Yeah, no.
That you do remember.
Yes, ma'am.
So these are the little clips that I'm talking about. And I should have said this in the beginning. I forgot to. These clips have been edited down, so you're gonna see how they just jump cut and whatnot. I'm mainly focusing on George's little quips and whatnot in here. Now this in the trial, the camera is focused on Katherine. When we get later into them, we're gonna see more like focus on Georgia. So the first trial here, you have Katherine, you have Garcia. Now Garcia is like the baby daddy. He was one of the men who actually went and was there physically participating in killing Dan Markel. Katherine was the link between those two and Charlie and Donna, okay? Now in this one you're seeing like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why my phone was at the car rental place. The stories that these people have tried to tell is so insane. Now again, we can sit here and argue and look at both sides where it's like, well, of course they're gonna make up stories. They don't wanna go to prison. They thought they got away with this. Years had gone by, right? Before the bump happened. And what is the bump? This is when a random undercover approaches Donna on the street with a newspaper article and basically a thing saying, call me, you know, we need money, you need to take care of so-and-so because of the favor they did. And they were trying to see if by giving Donna the phone number, where that phone number would travel to. Well, it went all the way down to the hitman and back up to Donna. It went all the way down the line of the people involved and back up and literally caused them to become unraveled. And it's karma in its most beautiful form, right? So in this one, like I said, you're seeing Katherine up here, and you heard Georgia. She's like, oh yeah, but you don't know anything about that, right? Right.
If you had fled to the Philippines as your attorney suggested you could have still been arrested for this murder, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, and your fleeing could have been used against you as consciousness of guilt, right?
But why would I leave?
I don't know. That's my point. You wouldn't.
Man, you know she cringed hard when she got back up there and turned state's evidence and came clean about everything. Is why would I leave? I've not done anything wrong. It's very reminiscent of Wendy, right? She does the same thing. There's nothing that's been done wrong. This whole crowd will try and tell you this is just a major coincidence, even though their hands are all over it, especially Katherine's. Remember, tons of recorded phone calls with the cops, the detectives, you know, tapping their phones, all sorts of stuff. But that didn't slow the lies down a bit.
And you testified on direct that the reason you went to Mr. Garcia for assistance is not because he had something to do with this murder, but because he's your child's father and that's who you go to when you have a problem, right?
Well, at that specific time, yes.
All right. And that's why you solicited him to commit this murder, right?
No, ma'am.
And he's the person you go to when you have a problem.
You would insinuate that, yes, but that's your opinion.
No,
that's
I'm asking
not what happened.
Is that a person you go to when you have a problem?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So it is yes or no. One thing that is common with the defendants in this trial, I was thinking especially Charlie and her, at least in this trial, I'm talking they will sit here and walk you around the cornfield to pick one shuck, okay? And it's like, come on, it's yes or no, okay, right? But also one thing you have to think of too, and I'm kind of talking to myself with this, is when they got caught, they thought they got away with this. So now they're having to backtrack, and it's like, imagine you start living your life. You can't keep up with all the stuff that's happened. And especially once they realize we've been under investigation this whole time, right? They were less worried about that, it seems, than it being an extortion as later on. We'll find out with all these phone calls that came out, et cetera, et cetera.
He mentioned those names to you, and you didn't say, oh, I know exactly who that is. That's my baby daddy and his best friend. But do you know why it is that he chose you out of all the 87 ex-girlfriends to call?
He's just exaggerating about the 87 girlfriends. I don't know why he called me.
All right, well, how many ex-girlfriends does he have?
I said
Okay,
that
well,
was years ago.
You don't remember much. That's still good enough for us. Tell us what you do remember.
That's good enough for us. Just tell us what you do remember. The one thing with Georgia also that she does is like that right there, where she just kind of like cuts to the chase, you know. Okay, look, but she still has this very smooth talk about her. And even when she talks, like when she gets riled up, it's almost the same way that I find absurdity in a lot of these true crime cases we watch, and I kind of hone in on that. It's like that's what she hones into. I'm kind of like walking myself through like one of the things, you know, I'm answering my own question here. Like, what is it I like about her style? She is good at picking the absurd out of the testimony and making the jury become aware of that, right? Like they say, hey, you don't remember much, but Anything is good at this point. So what do you remember, right? And the tone that she has is in that, like, this is ridiculous. We know it's ridiculous. We can't say it's ridiculous, but we're going to say it's ridiculous.
Gave you a paid for trip to Santo Domingo. Did he call in prescriptions for you, Mr. Adelson? Did he pay for a meal service for you?
Yes, I remember that.
Did he pay for breast augmentation for you?
No.
Did he pay for teeth whitening for you or your family?
I mean, the Adelsons love handing out teeth cleanings and teeth whitening. I mean, honestly, it's like, who didn't get, like, literally a show of hands in South Florida, who didn't get teeth whitening and cleanings from these people? I don't know how they stayed in business. They're so busy paying people off with free dental care. They must have had just one chair open that was like the favors chair, right? And this was like, this thing stays booked from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Now, one place that Georgia really shines is in her openings, her closings, and her rebuttals. So we are going to look at a few clips from the rebuttal and really focus in on, you know, her, how she presents, her tone of voice, hand motions, facial expressions, the whole 9 yards.
Dan Markel will never see his kids again. And he didn't get a choice in that. She had a choice.
Amen, girl. Sing it from the roof. That's what I'm talking about. She knows how to get direct without being dramatic. It's real.
To suggest that these wiretaps somehow are not evidence of Ms. Magbanua being right in the middle of this thing is just, listen to him again. And if those don't put her right in the middle, what possible motive would I have to prosecute an innocent person? In what universe would that assist me in getting the Adelson?
Now, this is what I'm talking about right here. The absurdity of it. You saw when she's like, it's just, you know, for me, it's like, she's relatable. It's like you can identify with her. It's like, I'm like, I've done this before. I've said this before. And she sounds just accessible and relatable. She doesn't come off like some snooty, better than thou, you know, I'm going to talk down to the jury. To me, she's having a conversation with the jury. It's almost like a friend who's telling you about the case. You know what I'm saying? And there's like, and then, you know, they would have you think that all those wiretaps don't implicate them. Can you believe that? And she sells it. Now, mind you, also, I mean, I've not seen Georgia operate in something that say wasn't like, this was pretty clear cut and obvious. Although, I mean, on one of them, Katherine ended up getting another trial, but what I'm saying is, like, say a case that could be really slippery. I mean, and these were slippery. I shouldn't say that because, like, the Donna one was kind of like, ugh. You know, once we started seeing the evidence, I'm not trying to say, oh, these were easy cases, but like a case where it was like, okay, we're going to have to really sit here and like hone in. I've not seen her in that. I've seen her in the Adelsons, is what I'm getting at. And the Adelsons were messy, right? All of them, okay? So to sum this little segment up here, you know, she comes off like a friend, telling you the most common sense answer to the case.
Each with a credit card in it. I can't see the name on that credit card. I don't understand how that means that she bought drinks that day. And I don't understand what in the heck that has to do with the murder. How did I hide or misguide you? They shot this man in broad daylight in Benton Hills. They don't care about being stupid.
That's one of my favorite ones. They don't care about being stupid. That's what I'm talking about. That is how, like, I would describe this. If I was sitting here, like, telling this, like, they shot them in broad daylight and whatever else. They're not concerned about being idiots, okay? Like, that's literally what it feels like that she's doing, and it comes off so good, right? It's like if I was a jury, I'd be like, yeah, where's the conviction papers? Come on, hand them to me right now. I don't even want to go back in the room.
Defendant Magbanua chose to take the witness stand. We didn't hear very much about that. She doesn't know anything about the crime at all, so how can she be cross-examined? She don't know nothing. Even after the bump and her involvement, she was enlisted by Charlie to go investigate this person that confronted his mother. Even after that, she didn't know anything about the murder?
Not at all. None of them did. Wait till we get to Wendy here. In a couple of clips, we're going to look at Wendy. It's just as infuriating, right? But again, you hear how Georgia just lays it all out. And one thing I also appreciate about her, and I'm kind of like, I've said this before, but I'll say it again in maybe a different way. So, you know, when you watch a case, and the state can be guilty of this, and the defense can be guilty of this, when they are trying to sell an emotion that doesn't match. We often see it with the defense where they do this fake outrage, where they're like, oh my gosh, and it's like, honey, they are so obviously guilty. Don't even even try that. Nick Casotis, and I'm not trying to say his attorney did that, I don't remember, but like a case like that, if you're familiar with it, where it's like, honey. Anthony Todd, right? You know what I'm saying? These kind of cases. Lori Dabo, okay? Anyways, so when they're trying to sell that kind of drama, and like I said, the state can do this too. The state can overact, right? And it comes off as inauthentic. Georgia, to me, literally, it's almost like you can tell she's passionate about justice and about the victims. And so she is expressing a normal range of emotion. And it comes off as very authentic and very believable.
There was a $100,000 reward for information leading to an arrest on the murder of Dan Markel. Do you think this woman wouldn't have turned that number in a heartbeat and collected that reward if she didn't have anything to do with it? Believe it.
That's what I'm talking about. That's like her. That's probably how she talks from her, like, believe it. And she's right. She would, right? And again, she tells the story like a layman person would. And that's another thing right there that I'm talking about. She doesn't speak in like fancy jargon. And I'm not trying to sit here and say that, like, I'm not trying to put her down or whatever. I mean, obviously she's a brilliant, professional woman. She speaks in terminology in a way that like I can relate to. It's like that, like, believe it. It's just absolutely the icing on the cake for me with her.
Question, did you talk to Luis Rivera on the day of the money drop? Answer, yes. So that kind of implies there was a money drop.
Common sense would tell you, if she agrees in this way, we cannot deny that there was not a money drop at this point, okay? Because we kind of agreed in the other way. So, that being said, now let's switch over to the one, the only, Miss Wendy. Wendy Adelson, come on down. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to shift over to Wendy Adelson, okay? And this is for her brother Charlie's trial. She takes the stand. Now, what we'll do is we're going to do two separate videos on this because we're going to do Wendy, and then the next video we'll cover Charlie, and also we'll cover the expert family law attorney, I think she was, and Georgia just ate her up. But we'll reserve those for another one because this is going to start getting long here. Okay. Wendy's going to do us all in, right? So buckle up for this one. So remember, Wendy Adelson was Dan Markel's wife. Okay, she's not been charged. Everything's allegedly. She's not been convicted. All the things, okay? So the way that it looks from the outside in is that the family arranged this and was kind of like, wink, wink, Wendy, don't look this way, but this is what's going on. And she somehow managed to scoot away with her children. Now, Georgia obviously knows this, and Georgia's very tight-lipped, like, oh, we don't say that name, Wendy, and But Wendy's been called to the stand numerous times. So, also remember, Wendy is an attorney. So there's this kind of show-off in this. So let's see how Georgia handles her.
Would you describe your parents as being over-involved in your personal business?
As compared to other people's parents?
Yeah. I want to talk about your location on the day of Mr. Markel's murder. Did you go directly to lunch?
No, I stopped and made a purchase for a party that I was supposed to attend first.
And what was that purchase?
It was my first time purchasing bourbon. It was for
Stock the bar party.
a stock the bar party. I forgot what it's called.
Okay. And do you remember what type of bourbon you purchased?
I don't.
Does Bullet bourbon sound familiar?
Maybe.
Bullet bourbon. Could there have been a worse kind of bourbon? You can't make this up. And Georgia you will hear about this Bullet bourbon later. You know that she's going through this case like, what? How does the stars even align for this?
And did you make any stops between leaving your residence and going to the liquor store? I'm referring to your visit to the crime scene.
I did not visit the crime
You
scene.
did not pull up to the crime scene tape on Truscott Drive?
No.
What are you talking about? I didn't do that. Well, actually, Wendy, you did. Now, we know from one of our Sofa Squad members who was at trial, actually, I don't want to put her out there, but she's very familiar with the area that Wendy lived in. Okay, let's just put it that way. So she knows the routes, she knows where the stores are, she knows all this kind of stuff. And where Wendy was going to lunch, there's an alcohol store right over there. Where Wendy went to the alcohol store, gave her excuse to go by the crime scene, which they know she did, and she kind of got sketchy when she pulled down the thing and she quickly turned around. It was a thing, right, that made people enough to the authorities to remember it. This was Wendy, so her being like, I didn't drive there. Yes, you did. We can deny reality all we want to, but it is what it is. South Florida.
Did you move to South Florida after their father was killed?
So after he was killed, I packed a weekend bag. My son's birthday was July 29th, and I thought we'd be back in Tallahassee by then.
Did you ever come back?
I did come back a few times, but not permanently.
Okay, so you ended up moving there permanently.
I wouldn't say it's permanent, but I'm living there.
And when you initially left to go to South Florida, was that the same day as the funeral service for your husband?
No.
Was it the day after?
Might have been the day after or the day after that. I don't remember.
It was right after. Now, if you haven't watched this, Wendy hated Tallahassee. This is the whole reason they had Dan killed. She wanted to move, and her parents wanted her to move down to South Florida to have the kids closer, et cetera, et cetera. She basically couldn't go because her and Dan were splitting up, a custody thing, right? That's the heart of this custody battle. So you see how Georgia walks her through that. Now, Wendy tries to play off very good, like, no, I don't remember the name of the bourbon. Bullet bourbon? Maybe. You know, when did you go down there? I don't know. Well, we're living there now. Honey, she sprayed gravel getting out of Tallahassee, okay? Could not get there fast enough.
Did you change your children's last name from Markel to Adelson?
I did.
When was that done?
After Danny died, there was a lot of press coverage, and CNN put pictures of my children's faces unblurred on national television. Newspapers put their names without any consideration to the fact that they're children. And
I
I thought,
appreciate that, but the question is when did you change
When.
that? Approximately a year after their dad was killed?
whenever I registered Ben for school, so it was soon after.
Also eliminate your older son's middle name,
When I legally changed their names, I did.
and you just dropped that from the name?
I did.
Okay. And that was a name that came from Dan Markel's deceased maternal grandmother, is that correct?
Now, the jury's hearing this, and you hear how Georgia walks her all the way through this. She changed the children's name, dropped that, erasing all signs of the Markels from these children, right? And whisking them away. And we're getting ready to hear about how much she even didn't let them see them, right? But again, you see how Georgia's being very middle of the road here also on one level. Because technically, Wendy's presenting as,
My husband was killed and I had nothing to do with it. I don't know who did this.
so it's, and like in my unprofessional opinion, you have to be kind of like, she's not on trial, you know, but there's this like, but your brother kind of looks like he did it for you, and that you probably somehow knew about it, but the cookie crumbled to where we can't really charge you for it yet. So there's this fine line that you don't want to ever risk, in my opinion, of talking to a defendant who could be misconstrued in a sense as a victim. Like, if this was legitimate, that her husband was really killed and she had nothing to do with it, you wouldn't want to rough her up, right? And Georgia does a good job at not really roughing her up, but being calm, but also delivering some dry sarcasm to her.
How many times have Dan's parents been able to see your boys in the last 5 years? What about the last 3 years?
Since 2016, they have not been permitted to see the boys.
They have not been permitted
That's right.
by you,
By me, yes.
right? And that's not through lack of trying on their part.
No, that's because of what they did.
Okay, but they want to see those boys, don't
They
they?
very much want to see the boys.
All right.
Why have Mr. Markel's parents not been allowed to see the grandchildren?
And then I found out that that Ruth Markel had reached out to a foster care agency to try to place my children with that agency. And I became very worried that they were trying to take my children away from me.
Your reference to the foster care agency, does that have to do with an email that was sent to me from your mother-in-law?
Yes, it does.
All right, that Dan's mother.
Yes.
And that email was in reference to, in the event that you and your parents were arrested in association with this crime, could I please contact that particular agency to assist with the children in the event they have no guardian temporarily until they could get down here from where they reside in Canada. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so they were not trying to take your children unless there was an event where you were unable to care for them.
But because there's no event in which I would be unable to care for them, that feels like trying to take away my children.
Okay, now this was such a stellar move on Georgia's part. So first of all, what they're talking about is just what you heard here, if you're unfamiliar with this case, where Dan's parents were basically like, look, if all this family gets arrested, especially Wendy, and this comes out, like, we want the kids to go to this specific foster care place so that we can come get them. You know, we want them at this specific place. So you see what Wendy does, where she uses she's trying to get the kids. They can't see them. She wanted them gone, right? If they had had their druthers, they would have taken them out too, right? I mean, period, end of story. In my opinion, that's allegedly, I don't know these people, and that's complete speculation, okay? Now, towards the end where you heard Wendy say there was no event that was taking place, so therefore I construe that as they were trying to take the kids. touche, right? But this is what I'm talking about, where Georgia corrects her. She's not being dramatic, but she's letting the jury know. Wasn't this really this? Wasn't this about this? Oh, and when a jury hears, she doesn't let the grandparents see the kids over that. Please. It all just informs the bigger picture, which is the Adelsons wanted Dan gone, and they made that happen. Now, we've seen how Georgia interacts with, and Wendy's not a defendant, but the defendants, whatever. But how does she handle a expert on the stand? Okay. We're going to look at the big whammy, jammy, mama wama, WrestleMania, knock him out testimony of Linda Bailey and Charlie Adelson in the next segment of this, the next installment of this video. But let's just look at one quick wham bam thank you ma'am clip of what's to come from that.
Why would your opinion about whether it was a highly contentious custody case matter?
Well, that's for somebody else to decide.
Georgia in this trial, honey, she's done with these people, okay? And when we start off with Linda Bailey, she gave her a run for her money, as well as everybody watching the trial. So, do you have any, well, first of all, a couple of things. Do you have any favorite Georgia moments? Number one. Number two, are there any other prosecutors in these trials that we have watched or haven't watched, I don't know, that you're like, oh my God, I love this prosecutor. One that I'm literally just going off the top of my head here. I cannot think of his name, and y'all help me out here. And this is going to be the trigger warning. This was the trial of the dude who had the kids and basically called, I want to say her name was Amber, on the phone, and unalive the children while she was on the phone, and he used a belt to do it. And the prosecutor in the closing arguments did that. And I mean, literally, y'all, we were all, it gives me goosebumps right now, even remembering the whole thing, the trial. It was absolutely a horrifying trial, but the prosecutor was so insanely good in it. Oh my gosh, he knew how to tell those little children and the victims, everybody's stories, right? And I think at the heart of really good trial prosecutors, really good attorneys, is they know how to speak for the victims, they know how to tell the story, and they know how to handle the defendants on the stand and talk to the jury. So do you have like another prosecutor who's like, oh my God, this one's so good, I'm curious to know so I can go back and revisit? Anyways, that is it. So thank you for watching. If you're still here, I know this was kind of a long video. And if you're still here, if you don't mind doing all that homework down in the comment section below. And while you are down there doing that, if you could drop off some little sofas for myself, Roscoe in spirit, little Bobo. Can you see little Bobo? Let me see. Hey, little, I'm just sleeping. Yeah, I'm coming through True Crime Blinky. It's so cute. Let's just tuck you in. But for little Bobo, for myself and you, the most important, the Sofa Squad, it wouldn't be here without you. I greatly appreciate you. And until we all gather down in the comment section, do all that stuff, bam, I'll see y'all soon.
I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now, don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Roscoe on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.
Welcome to the Sofa Squad, sipping from the cup that hey, come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough.